Hey, welcome to Left Right Out. Um, I saw an article today from CNN. It was talking about the pressures of elderly adults in this environment economically. One of the factors it said in the title was, rising costs, but then it's had interest rates. Now, I'm just addressing this right at the bat because it was bugging me. It's like, how do interest rates affect the elderly? Well, more than likely, the elderly have uh, they've had time to save their life. There's a lot of time, or this is traditionally most of the elderly have saved money over their lifespan to live off of, and I know more increasingly as the country dissolves itself in a sense economically. There's less and less of that, but interest rates rising would not um, affect them in the way that they're assuming, unless they have like massive amounts of credit card debt. If anything, people that saved and are retired on, because it was always talking about fixed income, they're on fixed incomes that are based off retirements or whatnot, that they have savings. The higher rates are going to help them. If you have saved money and you're getting a bit greater return, that should help you. I don't know what they were talking about. Reading through the article, they didn't really delve into how interest rates are directly affecting the elderly in any regard, and because it's kind of oxymoronic. Usually, by that time of your life, you should have saved a little bit of money, but as opposed to and with a higher interest rate, you should be getting greater return. And it's like, well, if the interest rates are hurting them now, what were they doing when they were at 0%? Because granted, they're not even really positive. They're not real positive. They're nominal positive. But when they're at 0%, say you saved $400,000 over a lifespan, and you're yielding 0%. In fact, that 0% plus additional monetary policy, you're actually losing purchasing power like you wouldn't believe. But if you had making 4 or 5%, or say somehow yields, you can go up to 10%. And that's not historically out of the realm. 10%, and you were able to get that. You're making 40 grand a year or whatever. You can live off that stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that interest rates are good for savers, and they're actually good to drive savings. The higher the interest rate is, you incentivize savings, and that is usually how you get a pool of capital in order to invest in actual productive activities. When you can't just print money out of nowhere. So those are economic factors. We go into the market today. That was just a side spot. That was on CNN in business, by the way, if you're interested. The markets today were down, and here's the thing, and I think I mentioned this the last time. There's a key level there in the S&P, which was the June low, which is the 666. We broke and closed below that. In fact, it semi-accelerated the last bit because I was watching into the close, and we're right on that precipice we're still closing below it. Then all of a sudden, that accelerated, went down another 10 points. So to me, that's significant that we broke that instead of bouncing off of that again, because it was holding tight. In fact, the other day when we had the other sell off on Friday, it went below and then it popped back up. Today it went below and then there was a late bit of acceleration down past that. So you just made that new low in the S&P 500. I know they did in the Dow. I'm more looking at the S&P. So we made that. That tells me, since it didn't bounce off, that tells me we got more to go. And then I also look at the bond market. When we're at a 388, we had a huge push. I mean, it looks like the 10 years going to challenge the 4 range. I think it hit 3.9 today. And then you have the 2-year at 4.2. So these things are starting to play out pretty interestingly. Like I said, one of these days we're going to wake up and there's going to be a huge bankruptcy from one of these companies. Somebody is going to die in this interest rate environment. Because while interest rates are good for savers, they're not good for people that are in debt. As these things go up, you're in a revolving type situation. They're not bad if you already have a fixed rate, but if you're having to access that, and I keep talking about it, you have to access that debt market. If you're in a revolving credit or you have a credit card, it sucks as that adjusts up. But if you're a company that is pretty much built itself off these low interest rates, and you have to go access that debt market to whether try to pay employees or whatnot, and your interest cost has just skyrocketed, whatever, 3% or 300 basis points, however you want to whatever terminology you want to use, or whatever the case may be. That's significant. Not only that, either that could put people in bankruptcy, that's at least going to retract earnings and to a certain extent. There's a lot of initial ramifications of that. Oh yeah, so we'll just end it there on the market analysis. I mean, that's pretty succinct. It looks like we're going lower, and even though the futures right now are pointing to a higher open, but we're still at 11:30. We got like 9 hours before the open, but we'll see. It should be more selling pressure on there just because we went through that level, and you didn't even have that big of a VIX move. Where was I going? There was something else I was going to, and that's because I was going to end that. Oh, my strategies. So, like, playing on downside, like I said, being short. It's working out now if you were doing that. And the way I was doing it through ETFs. If you had a significant amount of money, man, you'd be real, and put that in there percentage-wise, you'd be really well off. But on the other side of things, so I was talking about gold stocks, right? And there's certain key levels. There's certain companies I'm looking at. Maybe you look at them because I'm not going to get in trouble and do specific advice. I'm just talking about in general gold stocks. There's certain ones that I look at that are yielding very well, and I've set my own certain price metrics on there, and one of them hit that today. So I bought like 10 shares, super cheap one, and it yields over 5%. And I suspect it's going to have more pressure on it to even go lower. And at some point, this company is it's profitable, and it's trading now at like probably 6 times earnings. And it's and gold, I mean, it's profitable when gold was at whatever 1,400 or whatever. Now it's 1,638 still. I mean, I don't know what their break even cost is on. It's like $900 or something like that. Last I checked, I think it's roughly around there. They're profitable. They're growing. Anyway, there's companies out there like that. There's gold companies out there. But this one hit it. And if it keeps getting pressured lower, which I suspect I'm going to get in even more, whatever cash that I have left, I don't have very much to do that, but I'm going to. But these companies are ripe for 1, takeovers or consolidation. 2, when the Fed pivots and they throw money back in here, when they cry uncle, that's when gold takes off, because now you're going to have that. Look how we're teetering on that currency crisis. Look where we're at right now, and the hegemony that's developing in the in the rest of the world, and how the dollar has lost its dominance in a sense comparatively to where it was a number of years ago. Oh man, excuse me. I wish I had a little button like that, but we're seeing the crisis being built, or the real crisis. I mean, we're gonna have one day we'll have a flush out. I think that's what it was like. One day you're gonna wake up and there's gonna be, from these interest rates, there's gonna be a company in bankruptcy. But it's not that's the crisis. It is the antidote to the Fed has to the crisis, because they're going to be the ones that create the next crisis. They create all the crises, and we keep blaming all these other things. And in fact, a good analogy is, it's like, well, yeah, you can blame the drunk. You can blame him. You can try to get him, or the drug user. You can go after the drug user, the heroin user, and yeah, if he could clean up and he could stay away from the drug, he'd be better off. But who else is all at fault? How about the drug dealer? And that is the Fed in this whole thing. Yeah, the government itself is running deficits, and it is a user of this drug called free money. But the person who is delving out the free money, that is allowing these things to occur, that its whole sole purpose is inflation, or that the only thing it can really create, and that's the Fed. They are the drug dealer. They are the bartender that gets everybody drunk. They are the chief counterfeiter and the base node of where all nodes intersect in the beginning of a problem. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Keep it short tonight, because I got to go to bed. This is late. I was busy doing other things, but keep an eye, especially on that 10-year again, as we approach these new levels. And the last thing, look at the yield inversion. I don't remember ever having this kind of yield curve in my lifetime. be inverted this short for across the span of notes and bills and what I guess the span of treasuries was put that in. But I haven't seen a yield curve like this in my lifetime, or I don't remember one. And these usually are not good signs overall for the economy itself. But anyway, I'll talk to you later. Peace.